What's going on, everyone? John Matrix here. Hope you're all having yourselves a wonderful day. We've done a SCP versus Warhammer video before, and I really like these kind of what if scenarios. Who would win if one faction found the other first and all that kind of stuff. And so we kind of have another one of those videos here that we're going to go over here today by Major Kill. And this is Can Anything From the Warhammer 40k universe Kill SCP-096. Shy Guy. So for me, my initial thoughts would be, for those who might not necessarily be familiar with it, just a quick summary. Shy Guy is an SCP anomaly who, for the most part, is contained and calm, but if someone sees his face, he flips out, goes berserk, and will do anything to kill them. And when he goes into this berserker mode, he's virtually unstoppable, virtually uncontainable, and will just find whoever they are, wherever they are, whether they saw a video recording, a photo of his face, etc., etc. He'll somehow know it and will stop at nothing until he kills that person. And then he goes back into his docile calm mode, from what I remember anyway. So the question is, what, if anything, in the 40k universe could stop him? For me, I guess the couple of questions would really come down to is how resistant would he be or fare against, the warp or psychers? Because the SCP universe and the SCP Foundation, they have reality benders. They have powerful, what would be the equivalent of psychers in the 40k universe. But the SCP Foundation is all about containment and, trying to learn what they can from these anomalies, etc., etc. They're not necessarily about just outright killing unless it's absolutely necessary. So I don't know if there's any kind of scenario where they've had any kind of reality benders that work for the Foundation who have tried to kill this thing in any way, shape, or form. As far as I know, that's not the case. So the question would be how would they react to any kind of psyker in the 40k universe? How would they react to the warp? Because I feel like psychers, that would be powerful enough would be able to just, rip its soul from its body or, deatomize it or just send it into the warp or whatever the case might be. You know what I'm saying? They would be able to just essentially just wipe it out. But that also brings up another interesting idea of, what would happen if they just unleash it into the warp with all the, demons and things there. Would it just go on a rampage of all these various demons that, could look at it, and would it just sit there and go on a rampage and kill all these various things? Would it in and of itself turn into some other kind of greater demon? Would the warp manipulate it and turn it into something even crazier and more powerful? So, that's another interesting, idea. The only other thing that I could think of, well, there's two other things, I guess, would be, if it ran into the Tyranids, would the Tyranids eventually be able to overwhelm it and, consume its biomass and add it to them and maybe evolve some other kind of crazy creature from it? Or, what would happen with Necron technology? Because from what I understand, the Necron beam weapons, they basically deatomize things. They basically break things down on a subatomic level. So would he be able to resist getting hit by something like that? So those would be my kind of questions, I guess, and my thoughts that I can think of right off the top of my head as we get into this video. But let's check this out. So again, this is going to be by Major Kill. Can Anything From Warhammer 40k Kill SCP-096. Links will be down below in the description, as always, to the original video without my commentary and reaction, and to Major Kill's channel. Please do me a favor, if you enjoy this video as we go through it, give it a like, and if you enjoy Major Kill's content, he makes a lot of great content in the 40k universe. Show the man some love and give him a sub if you're not subbed to him already. If you'd like to join us when we do these reactions live, there is a join button underneath the video, as well as a link in the description to the YouTube membership benefits and tiers that I offer. Check them out if you've been around the channel for a while and decide you want to take your sport to the next level. See if any of that would have any kind of interest for you. But with all that said, let's check out this video here. Full screen, volume up, monitor on. Let's do it.
G'day guys and gal.
Good eye.
People love pitting Warhammer 40k up against various other sci-fi settings to see how they would stack up, and yeah, in most cases Warhammer 40k absolutely bodies the other
In most
settings.
cases, it's true.
Space Marines would absolutely destroy Jedi, Spartans, and so on. Not just from their physical advantage, but also the scale. After all, there is like a million loyal Space Marines around with infinite amount of guardsmen to go alongside that. But some settings do actually match up pretty well, and sometimes even exceeds Warhammer 40k. The SCP universe is one of these potential matches, well at least a few of the SCPs in it are, with SCP-096 being generally considered to be unkillable and unstoppable, which then begs the question, does Warhammer 40k have the stopping power to be able to kill it for good, or at the very least permanently stop it?
It is an interesting question.
Think of a number between 1 and 10. You got it? I guess that it's 7. If I'm right, then hit subscribe, and if I'm wrong, then fair enough, carry on, I'll try get you next time. Today we'll go over the various different powerhouses and juggernauts of Warhammer 40k to determine if any of them could truly kill SCP-096.
Okay, so he seems to be kind of going along the lines of maybe like on a one-on-one battle with someone from what he's studying so far. Like, you know, could any of the Primarchs beat him, etc. The Emperor, maybe, I don't know. Interesting.
We'll also discuss how and why SCP-096 is so goddamn powerful. Let's get into it. For those of you not aware of the SCP universe or what the fuck an SCP-096 is, basically it's set in our modern era, however a global organization exists that helps to contain various different supernatural objects, entities or anomalies. SCP-096 is one such entity. SCP-096 is a depresso expresso humanoid that is almost always docile and chill, walking around its containment cell without too much drama. However, as soon as someone sees its face, whether it be in person, on a photo or video recording, it will lose its shit and begin charging that person with the intention of killing them. It always knows exactly where that person is and nothing can stop it. It will rip through steel and concrete like paper, dive to the bottom of the Mariana Trench without issue, and even hop into a volcano and swim through it if needed. Dude was once launched into space and returned to Earth via swimming through space and hopping between planets. I know that sounds retarded, but you have to ignore the physics of it and think about it more so like SCP-096 being a creature of fundamental purpose. Its sole goal is to kill anyone that has seen its face and nothing can stop it. It also appears to be entirely immune to damage as well. Not in like a nothing hurts it way, but more so a damage doesn't really bother it way. Bullets, rockets and other damage dealing devices will blow chunks out of it, but its skeleton is completely unbreakable. So you can literally drain it of all its blood, melt all its organs and cleanse all of its flesh.
That's true, I forgot about that. I forgot that it's basically kind of like a Wolverine scenario where its skeleton is indestructible. Now that he's mentioned that, so again, you know, I wonder, would the Necron's weapons be able to still go through that? And again, what kind of, you know, power would Psychers be able to utilize to do anything against that if possible? That would be my questions.
And it would still charge at you as if nothing had happened. What that means is that an entire chapter of Space Marines wouldn't be able to do shit. Let's say a chapter was shown its face and told to exterminate it. That is 1,000 Space Marines, with dozens of Terminators, gunships, tanks, and librarians. The chapter would begin tracking 096 and could easily bait it into a kill zone. They would then light it up with hundreds of bolters, blowing it apart in seconds other than its skeleton. Then the Terminators would engage it in melee, Thunderhammer strikes and power swords knocking it around. However, at some point it would score its first kill, ripping open Astartes warplate like a can of tuna. One by one the Space Marines would die as 096 showed no signs of slowing. The Space Marines would have to retreat, however 096 would still catch them as its speed scales to whatever it is chasing, as well as how far away it is. For example, if a citizen on Terra saw a photo of 096 while it was in Imperium Nihilus, it would dive through space faster than the speed of light, only slowing down as it,
which is insane.
To be honest, it would sort of travel kind of like how Tyranids do. The chapter would do everything it could, traps, bombs, blades, and so on. They would even smack it around with their librarians, and while warp powers are definitely the way to go about dealing with 096, librarians mostly use their warp powers as direct weapons rather than reality-bending, lore-changing things. So while 096 would not enjoy getting licked by warp lightning, in fact it would probably be the only thing that appeared to actually hurt it in the entire Space Marine arsenal, I don't think it would be enough. As the last of the chapter is killed, their fleet in orbit exterminatises the planet with 096 on it. Once again, 096 is atomized apart from its skeleton, however it recovers before launching itself into space, and then taking out the fleet. So no, a Space Marine chapter would not be enough to take it out. Even if we were to instead make it a Space Marine Legion, the result would be the same. It's important to think of SCP-096 as a horror creature rather than a Super Smash Bros. Fighter. Power levels isn't really a thing for it. Fundamentally, if you see its face, it will kill you. But that also isn't really the case. Other SCPs have seen 096's face and are still alive. See, the SCP Foundation has a lot of resources, but it's mostly just a bunch of scientists and special forces with modern technology trying to contain and kill supernatural godlike beings. So when they want to eliminate an SCP, they generally just use another more powerful SCP to do so. For example, SCP-682, an unkillable angry-ass alligator, was unleashed against 096 in the hopes that one would destroy the other, or they would both be destroyed. The two SCPs fought and fucked each other up really hard. However, they were both unkillable from physical damage, and they both only dealt physical damage. Imagine it's a video game and there is a line of code that says, quote, "can be killed by physical damage, yes or no," and the code says no. That means that no matter what is in the game,
one interesting way of putting it.
physical damage, it cannot kill that character. Same goes for here. Eventually the two got sick of fighting and just kind of stopped, 096 returning to its docile state. So it shows that it can get sick of trying to kill someone if that person just won't die. With that in mind, are there interesting characters who just straight up won't die to physical damage? Well, yes. All of the Perpetuals can regenerate from physical wounds.
That's true, yeah.
Apart for a couple hours, SCP-096.
That's true. I hadn't really thought about that. I hadn't really thought about, you know, if you fought Vulcan and Vulcan would just sit there and keep regenerating and keep coming at him, you know. That would be an interesting battle to see.
Would eventually get bored and go back to being docile. There are also some characters who could hold their own for a time, like elite level custodians who are so skilled and fast that they would be able to dodge around SCP-096, at least for a time.
Till they get tired, yeah.
096 giving up would be more dependent on it ripping something apart and then it's still surviving, rather than a drawn out duel. Khan the Betrayer would be an interesting one. Khan gets more and more powerful the longer he's in a fight, so a fight between him and 096
that would be interesting.
Epic. I could see that fight ending in 096 getting sick of it, as Khan smacks him in the balls time and time again with the force of 1,000 maglev trains. 096 could maybe kill Khan, but with Khan's speed, skill, and durability, I don't really see it.
Yeah, I think it would be a situation where if Khan were to get, you know, injured or killed early enough, that would be the deciding factor. But like you said, the longer the battle would go, the more in Khan's favor it would be, so he would probably be smart enough to eventually figure that out and try to draw it out.
Taking it a step further, if we pit 096 against Angron, then shit gets real. Angron is very, very resistant to physical damage, with the Lion needing to bash his brains out with his god-empowered Emperor's Shield.
And these are the things that I was thinking of as well, like with it being in the warp. Like, how would it fare against demons and greater demons? You know, would it be able to rip through them? Would they be able to just destroy it? Would it be turned into some kind of, you know, mutated? I would assume that if it stayed in the warp long enough, it would probably end up getting mutated by the effects of the warp and turned into something even crazier, you know, perhaps even some other kind of demon in and of itself. Maybe, you know, I would think even because of in its state where it tries to hunt things down, it could be considered kind of like a berserker rage. I would think it would intrigue Khorne, and Khorne might, you know, take an interest in 096 and try to turn it into one of its servants, which if it was successful in doing so, that would be pretty insane, turning, you know, into a greater demon of Khorne with all the power Khorne can imbue it and making it even stronger, you know. That would be pretty crazy.
In order to banish him. In return, Angron needing to bash his gets real. Angron is very, very resistant to physical damage, with the Lion needing to bash his brains out with his god-empowered Emperor's Shield in order to banish him. In return, Angron hits really fucking hard. In some instances, Khorne himself will directly empower Angron's strike, so I wouldn't be shocked if a Khorne strike delivered by Angron could be enough to shatter 096's bones, something that would actually...
I mean, that's true. With the Khorne imbued power, I think he was able to split a planet or something like that, so... That would be pretty insane for 096 to be able to hold, you know, to be able to resist that.
permanently kill or cripple it. After all, that strike could shatter the fundamental rules of the universe as it is from a god, so it could be on.
Right.
In a similar vein, Primarchs all have these godlike passive abilities. For example, Jagged-Eye Khan was able to kill the Psyche Newen parasites on Prospero with his sword, despite not technically being a Psyker. This was interesting as only Psykers or magic weapons could actually kill them, so maybe these Primarch powers and passives could be enough to take out 096, but
yeah, that is another question is, you know, how would the Primarchs fare with them being imbued with war power energy, you know, would they be able to somehow do something against it?
Not. After all, Magnus hit Vulcan with a mega death spell, yet Vulcan still survived due to his perpetual regeneration powers. Powers that 096 also seems to have. Okay, so if 096 is a Perpetual in the setting of Warhammer 40k, then would Perpetual killing weapons be able to take him out? Maybe. After all, he isn't a real Perpetual, so maybe a Fulgurite shard would kill him, but maybe it wouldn't. It really depends if the Fulgurite can kill Perpetuals, because it can kill anything.
That is an interesting idea, Fulgurite. I hadn't thought about that. If they could like stab it with some kind of Fulgurite weapon or whatever, would that negate its regenerative abilities? But like he said, he's not technically a Perpetual. He's just comparing it to a Perpetual in the 40k universe. So who knows if that would actually really work.
Or if it is specific to only killing Perpetuals.
Right.
If you don't have access to a shard of a god's power,
you just don't know the effects.
You know pretty much nobody does, then what do? What if you're just some Joe Blow, some random ass mortal, who gets pranked by his shithead co-worker Steve into looking at a photo of 096?
That would suck.
Fuck Steve, man, such an asshole.
Yeah,
well,
what a douche.
There is something pretty spicy that can be done, and that is getting on a warp-capable ship and then entering the warp. 096 will do everything it can in order to catch you, so it too will enter the warp. Now, 096 might have a single-minded purpose and unbreakable bones, but that doesn't give it warp resistance.
Right, exactly. And that was the thing that I was thinking of, is how would it fare, you know, against warp abilities and being in the warp in and of itself.
Organs and blood burnt out, but that doesn't give it warp resistance. It will immediately have its flesh, organs and blood burnt out as demons then begin to assail it and attempt to consume it and its soul. It's going to have a really hard time trying to get through the warp to your starship. Demons also
like, I think 682 eventually would be able to adapt to this just because of how adaptable it is. I think 682 would be able to adapt to the warp and potentially be able to overcome things. Who knows how quickly, and who knows if, again, it would be a situation where you know, before it was able to adapt, its soul could be overtaken by other demons, greater demons, any of the chaos gods, etc. Would any of the chaos gods take interest in it, etc., etc.? But I think given enough time, 682 with its adaptability probably be able to adapt and create resistance to the warp, simply because the Tyranids can, right? From what I understand, the Tyranids, there's a like specific evolution of Tyranids that are like demon hunters that I think can enter the warp and hunt down demons and whatnot. So if they can do it with how adaptable 682 is, 682 probably would be able to as well. And then who knows where that would go, right? But yeah, I don't know if 096 would be able to, like he's saying.
And its soul. It's going to have a really hard time trying to get through the warp to your starship. Demons will also technically begin seeing its face, which will then add them to its kill
right,
list.
exactly.
But then again, killing demons in the warp with physical claws and anger isn't really a thing. After all, demons are manifestations of raw emotion. When they enter real space, they need to adapt to the rules of real space to a degree, which is why you can actually kill them in real space, but in the warp they need no such adaptation or nerfing. Even if demons themselves cannot break 096's bones, which I find unlikely, 096 will be lost in the warp, forever burning, forever assailed by demons who find their new toy highly entertaining. Then you simply just need your warp craft to leave the warp and bam! Even if 096 is somehow still following you, it is now stuck in the warp. Remember, it has to physically reach you. It can't just teleport between dimensions. As proof of this, when SCP-106 was tasked with killing 096 by dragging it into its pocket dimension, SCP-096 couldn't escape and was tortured for a while until 106 got bored and let it out after it realized it couldn't kill it. So 096 definitely wouldn't be able to escape the warp. I would think of SCP-096 as having an infinite health bar. However, if you use the right ability, it's an insta-kill. For example, in a currently non-canon but widely accepted method of killing 096, the SCP Foundation used SCP-173, a creature who can break the neck of any life form. It doesn't exert a specific amount of force or have strong enough hands, it literally just has the ability to break that life form's neck. So by using 173 on
good old Peanut,
you could break the neck of 096, thus breaking its unbreakable bones. This is where you start hitting the paradoxy stuff.
So, and that's the thing, like in the SCP universe, like you said, it's not really like a power level thing. It's just a kind of things are able to do. Some SCPs are able to do specific tasks or have specific abilities regardless of, you know, whatever it's facing, it's able to accomplish it, kind of a situation.
The unstoppable force moved the immovable object. What happens when you use the ability to break any bone on an unbreakable bone? In the non-canon example, 173 breaks 096's neck, exposing the inner marrow of its spine. The Foundation then uses a concoction of the world's strongest acids, combined with supernatural SCP acid that is injected into the exposed marrow of 096's spine. It works its way through the skeleton, dissolving the interior of it, which works to great effect, melting 096 into a pool of exposed bone that he is unable to regenerate from. Now, while this isn't canon for the sake of not killing off a fan favorite SCP, everyone seems to agree that this is a legitimate way to kill him. Basically, if you can break its unbreakable bones, then you can kill it.
Right.
Breaking said bones cannot be achieved by hitting a certain amount of force. You need to have an absolute weapon, something that can and will break its bones, not due to its power output, but due to the fact that it can just do it. Beings in 40k with this level of absoluteness include the Emperor, the Chaos Gods, potentially the Primarchs, and I would say the Catan. It's not clear if the Necrons or the Dark Age of Technology stuff could, since all their weapons are based on science.
True.
However, that science is so advanced that it's like magic, so who knows? And remember, if all else fails, you can just drop this motherfucker off in the warp, especially if he was just in his docile state. Just put him on a ship and fly him in,
which was my initial thought,
department into the bowels of hell, and then leave. So the answer is yes, Warhammer 40k can kill SCP-096, or at least permanently.
It's just situational.
To 096's credit, it definitely would not be a walk in the park. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be, where we have not only a bunch of live action nude cosplays, a boatload of Battle Mace 40 million hentai, but also a number of fantastic Warhammer 40k fan arts. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more SCP x Warhammer 40k lore. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Alright, well, there we have it. And I mean, that kind of, like I said, mirrored my initial thoughts. It would really come down to, like, psychers. How would they, you know, fare against him? Would a powerful enough one be able to, like, rend its soul from its body? If, you know, 096 even has a soul, what would that do to it? And then throwing it in the warp in and of itself, how resistant would it be to that? Would it be able to resist that? Would it be able to resist the demons, you know, coming after it and trying to kill it and eat it? Would it just go on a rampage in there? Would it mutate into something crazier and more powerful? Would any of the Chaos Gods then take interest in it and try to turn it into a greater demon of some sort? You know, those, I think, would be the questions. The only other thing outside of that, again, would be, you know, if it ran into the Tyranids, would the Tyranids be able to consume it and find a way to break down its, you know, skeletal structure? Because they have, you know, crazy kind of acids and stuff like that that they're able to create. So who knows? Maybe they could create something that could break down its bones and consume it and maybe evolve into some kind of other crazy creature. And then the Necrons with its, you know, its weaponry, like I said, to my understanding, a lot of the Necron weaponry basically breaks things apart on like a subatomic level. So like, would his skeletal system be able to resist that, or would it essentially just, you know, succumb to whatever the laws of physics or whatever in that universe would be, and would they just break down? Those would be the only other questions. But yeah, pretty much went along the lines of my idea of you would have to probably throw it in the warp and see how it fared in the warp to take care of it. But going hand on hand, then yeah, it would come down to it would probably be like a Primarch level thing to combat it, and maybe like a one-on-one or a group scenario to be able to at least subdue it or destroy it, if even capable. So yeah, great video by Major Kill. That was Can Anything From Warhammer 40k Kill the SCP-096. As always, links will be down below in the description to the original video without my commentary and reaction, and to Major Kill's channel. Please do me a favor, click those links if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and if you enjoy Major Kill's content and you're not already subbed to him, go over there and hit that sub button, show the man some love. If you'd like to join us when we do these reactions live, there is a join button underneath the video, as well as a link in the description to the YouTube membership benefits and tiers that I offer. Take a look at those, see if any of them have any interest for you. You know, if you've been around the channel for a while and you want to take your sport to the next level, it's a great way to do so, and get something back. But yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like and a sub, because it helps me and the channel grow. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a wonderful day.